Hello, what is up, everybody? You're here with Brothers Forge Gaming, and what you're looking at right here is Godfall. Now, this is on the PlayStation 5, and let me tell you, this thing is pushing the new hardware to the limits. But what you got right here, we're going to go over how you're going to get the platinum on this game. Currently, it's sitting at a 1.2%. There are 46 total trophies, 1 platinum, 1 gold, 8 silver, 34 bronze. Now I have numbered these accordingly, starting at number 1 at the platinum and going down. And so we're going to go over each of these trophies, show you how to do it. I'm going to talk about some of the ones I had trouble with. I'm going to go over my build, and I'm going to talk to you about what it's going to take for you to earn your next platinum trophy on this wonderful game, Godfall. Now, I've got a bunch of different videos up on our site here on YouTube. If you want to check those out, some of the different boss fights, some just a couple different random ones of first play if you want to see those. This is a game that is easy to play but hard to master. The combat system in this game is extraordinary and one like I have never played before. Your options, your customization, your ability to just kind of do whatever build you want. This reminds me of a PC, like games that PC gamers would have enjoyed over the years, where console gamers, you're a lot of time you're limited. Now the amount of loot and the different things you get in this game are overwhelming, and it's surprising that this game is able to hold up under all that. But that being said, I do believe I did crash the game. I broke the game. I malfunctioned the game's hardware in multiple different ways. Just the game's programming. So I'm going to actually probably do a separate video on that if you guys want to check that out, about how I broke Godfall. Literally broke it. That being said, that aside, we're going to go over these trophies right here, right now. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, this is easy, hack and slash, God of War style clone game. I can get the platinum on this. And, you're not wrong. It is a difficult platinum, though, right out the gate. Just let yourself know. You're looking at least 40 hours on this one. Now, you can form groups of 3 people, which I soloed this game, so I don't know how much easier or harder the game gets with multiple players. But basically, you're going to spend 90% of your time getting the last 2 trophies. You can probably get through this game in about 10 or 15 hours, acquiring a majority of the trophies along the way. I approached this with kind of probably a little bit longer of a mentality to do it. A lot of times when there's a lot of trophies, it gets convoluted for me, and I have trouble seeing the end, so I try to take off 1 trophy at a time. And realistically, I probably could have done that more as I went along versus doing extra grinding. So that might have ended up costing me a little bit of extra time, but probably not much, because at the end of the thing, you're going to be grinding for probably 20 hours regardless. So, all right, well, without further ado, here we go. So like I said, I've labeled these, I've numbered these. We're going to start number 1 is the platinum. I don't usually write that name of that one down, but it is these have cool pictures you get when you unlock the trophy. The icon you get with the trophy itself is actually pretty neat on these. So but anyhow, so basically this number 2 through 6 trophies you're going to get, if you're looking at them in a list in a linear pattern, you're going to, you can label them in your head, whatever. Those are all for defeating the bosses. They're not hidden. They're not hard to find. You know what I mean? Here, we'll give you a different shot. Those are not going to be hidden trophies. As far as I know, there were 0 missable trophies in this game. I had 0 bugs as far as the trophies go. As I was mentioning earlier, I did break the game in the Tower of Ascension. Basically, the game just stopped working, and I think it's because I had too much loot, and I had gotten to the point where some kind of combination of something I was taking no damage, and I was basically just wrecking shop. So I was actually worried the game was glitching out. My people were glitching through the floor, stuff I'd never seen before up to that point. And that Tower of Ascension is no joke, and we're going to go over that a little later. But anyhow, I was worried because I was at level 17, level 18. The furthest I'd been prior was level 15 or 16 or something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my plat. And the game is breaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, it's going to break. I'm not going to get the platinum. The game is going to shut down. Because there was actually one point where I couldn't load my menu screen at a certain augment, and I'll show you, and it would just shut down the game. So I was super worried that it was going to crash. I had spent hours and hours and hours trying to get to level 20 of the Tower Ascension, and oh my gosh, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but as far as I know, as of now, there are 0 broken trophies. So now, next we're going to go on trophies number 7 through 12. Those are for defeating enemies and certain types of enemies. Like, there's basically 3 factions in this game. You've got your Earth Realm, your Water Realm, your Air Realm. You've got some fire enemies mixed in there. So basically, you get trophies for defeating hundreds of those, and 2,000 total enemies or something like that. So those are all mixed in there as well. Okay, so similarly, I can't speak. Similarly, numbers 13 through 19 are for inflicting ailments. So you've got similar to the types of enemies, you have elements that you can inflict: shock, poison, void, fire. There's the different ones. So you can do different ailments. They're in here. And that's going to go along as well with different kinds of weapons. We're going to get to that next. So number 20 is called the Ultimate Warrior. And that's for activating your Archon Fury 40 times. That's going to be no problem. You're going to get that done. So as you can see now, my charged yellow bar there, if I were to click in both the sticks, I would get to activate that. You do that 40 times, you're going to do that no problem. You're going to need Archon Fury to really get there. Okay, next one is Shield Captain, like Captain America. So basically, you can throw your shield like this, and that's for hitting a certain amount of enemies. You got to do that 200 times, not a problem, unless you're just not using your shield. Now here's one. Archon of War. Perform 100 takedowns. Now, on certain enemies, you hit them with that shield throw, it'll knock them down. So you can do takedowns that way. And then there's also a way to parry certain kinds of enemies, and we'll go over that as well. It's like kind of a skill you unlock. You parry certain kind of enemy, or an enemy at a certain health, and you can then do a takedown, which an R3 icon will pop up. You can do that. It's pretty easy. Versatile Warrior. So perform a polarity shockwave 100 times. So we're going to go over that when I show you the character screen. It'll just be a little easier to get to that. Okay, next. 24. Dervish. Activate inner focus 100 times. Now, out of all of the weapon abilities, this one was the most confusing. So with dual blades, and like I said, I'll go over this. With dual blades, it's the southern technique or the northern technique, whichever one. You'll notice it. Your guy does like this kind of like thing. You'll notice it anyway. You have to do that 100 times with the inner focus. That's the dual blade weapon, one of the special abilities you get. But again, you're going to have to unlock that through a talent tree, so I'll go over that. Now, here's performing... Oh, okay, so that was 24 for the Dervish. Now, 25 through 28, perform each weapon tech 100 times. And that's what I was talking about. Inner focus is a weapon technique. You get 2 weapon techniques on each weapon. And then, basically, you're going to get that for each weapon. The Warhammer, the Polearm, the Longsword, the Greatsword, and the Dual Blades. There's 5 of those. Okay, and the Dervish was the one that wasn't clear on that one. I'm like, what the heck is inner focus? I couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't in anything. So there's actually a pretty extensive... Well, we'll just go to it. There's actually a pretty extensive codex here. And I've shown this in other videos, but I mean, this thing goes on and on and on. I mean, there is so much stuff in here. So just go back and take a look at my cool guy there. If you want, you can read some of these stats. So this is some of my stats that you're going to be getting at, and we'll go over these later. Okay, so basically, where were we at? So you get one for performing each of the weapons, and I'll show you those weapons here in a second. Okay, Defender, parry 100 attacks, and you're going to do that. It's kind of like a timing blocking thing. You're going to need it to get through the game. Deflector, parry 30 projectiles. And this is what I was talking about. So when there's a trophy like this, to parry 30 projectiles, I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm just going to sit here and parry these projectiles to get that trophy to pop. It just makes it seem easier for me to get the other trophies when I have the easy ones out of the way. And I don't always have to do that, but for this game, for some reason, I just felt the need to do that. And anyway, I didn't need to sit there and do extra parrying of projectiles to get the trophy, because by the end of by the time you get the platinum, you're going to parry 1,000 projectiles. So it's like, anyway, it didn't take that much time. It just felt good to get that one out of the way. It made me feel more accomplished. All right, next is Soul Reaper. Those of you Bleach fans out there, if you haven't seen that anime, it's pretty excellent, at least up through the first couple hundred episodes. I think I stopped watching after that. It got a little crazy. Anyway, and there's a movie. It's pretty good. There's actually a live-action Bleach movie, which was pretty good as well. I believe that is on Netflix if you haven't seen it, or I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or elsewhere. Okay, so Soul Reaper, Soul Shatter an enemy 500 times. This one was confusing to me. I wasn't really sure what was going on with that, and we'll go over it. But basically, you get a build-up every time you hit an enemy, and then so like your R1 is your attack, and then eventually you'll see the build-up on the bar, and eventually, once you get that to where when you hit them with the Soul Shatter move, which is R2, if you have enough build-up on the bar, it kills them instantly, and they explode. It's pretty easy to understand once you kind of like figure it out. But originally, I was like, what the heck is that? Okay, here's another cool one. Number 32, S-Rank Duelist. Hit 200 enemy weak points. So that's another thing that was kind of confusing. And it's a thing you have to invest your skill points in, and we're going to go over that. But I like that S-Rank Duelist. Reminds me of like, what is that, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or one of those things? I think it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon or something. Probably more likely Yu-Gi-Oh! All right, anyhow, Assassin, ass-in, if you ever need to know how to spell that, ass-in. Okay, so perform 40 death blows, and that's associated with weak points, so again, we'll go over that a little bit later, but that'll be easy. You're going to need it. Weak points is something I'm going to recommend to you to invest your skill points in, and you should have no problem doing that. So here we have Egalitarian, and that is to defeat 75 elite enemies. And this is one of those ones I was trying to get done before the end, but realistically, you're going to defeat those no problem. And the same thing with 35 Hunter, defeat 40 mid-bosses. I was thinking I was going to have to do extra hunts or something like that, but they end up showing up in the tower, spoilers, so you'll have no problem. You're probably going to have to run the tower a bunch of different times. And then either way, if you don't do the tower, you wait till the end to do the tower and you're doing mid-boss hunts to grind, you're going to find them there as well. So no problem. 36, Armor of the Gods. Now, this is to pick up 30 Valor Plate cores, and this isn't, sometimes you get them as reward. You have to find these in the levels. Not hard, even if you have to go back and grind them. You'll find a spot toward the end, one of the last levels in the air realm. There's like 5, and they're all right next to each other. You could just sit there and, find them if you're having trouble. Next is Scavenger. Pick up 250 pieces of equipment. No problem, you're going to get that all day, every day. Okay, next, 38, you have Awakening. Pick up a legendary piece of equipment. No problem, you're going to get that all day, every day. Now, 39, gold, silver, and ... Pick up 100,000 Electrum. That is their, unit of choice. Here's a look at some of the resources. So as you can see, now originally I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have more Electrum than I'm ever going to need. And then you get to the end game and you get to where you're upgrading and doing some different stuff. You're gonna need that Electrum, so don't shy away at it. You're gonna need it if you can find it as a bonus reward. Even later on the end game, you might want to think about putting some points into extra loot because, and I'll go over that with you as well. But it is a real shortage, as well as most of these orbs. So orbs of eternity, creation, and oblivion. Pretty much everything else you're gonna have in abundance. Dragonsteel is one of the ones you're going to need to find. But again, those are easier to grind than the orbs are actually pretty tough to grind. Next up, we have Raider. Open 50 chests. No problem, you're going to get that. Gatherer, gather from 50 mother loads. Those are, you'll see them in the level. You can actually find them using the left on the D-pad. It shows you kind of where hidden items are. It's called Spirit Vision or something like that. They're just in the levels. You'll find them, no problem. Next, Geared Up. This is number 42 if you're keeping track. Pick up 5 legendary pieces of equipment. You're going to get that, no problem. Keymaker, earn 200 keys in the Tower of Trials. Now, I wasn't sure if this, because there's 2 different towers, I think this counts an accumulation of both towers. But even if it wasn't, you should have no problem getting those keys, especially once you're juiced up. You'll be getting max keys. I think I had almost 200 keys in my final run of the tower anyway, so you should have no problem doing that. Next, Rise Up. Reach Trial 10 in the Ascended Tower of Trials. Now, this is what I was talking about. This is where it gets very difficult. Okay. Oh, yeah, I messed up this numbering system in there somewhere as well. So, actually, it didn't have a 46th trophy right there. And then in like Rise Up, here's Ascendant. It's the last one you're going to see. Reach Trial 20 in the Ascended Tower of Trials. Now, it's nice to be able to reach it because you don't have to actually beat it. You just have to get there, man. Because those last levels, they're all boss fights, basically. Once you start hitting level 17, there's like a boss or a mid-boss in every elevator. And oh my godness, it is rough. Okay, so anyway, that's going to be the hardest part. So every previous trophy before that is you're pretty much gonna spend twice as much time trying to get to where you can ascend to level 20. And I'm gonna go over this. This is a little confusing. So basically, once you get here, well, here's the one tower. So this is just the basic tower, and then it gets harder as you go up the tower. I believe it ends after 10 levels or something like that. So basically, once you beat the 10th level, it's over. You can do it again. I was grinding out a lot of stuff here. So rather than going to these different places and just fighting the same bosses, I was just doing these towers. So basically, once I beat the game, okay, so let's just start at the beginning. Okay, so you play through the game, beat the game as fast as you can. Don't worry about doing any of the trophies or any of that till you get to these towers. Then I would start, say, working on your polarity attacks. Don't upgrade any weapons. Don't do any of that till you're in your end game. Till you're ready. I would say don't upgrade a single item until you are having each piece of equipment that you want for your build. And it's really hard. You might have to settle. It was hard to find a piece of equipment that you wanted that had a trait of every stat you wanted. So if you could get 2 out of 3, that's not bad, okay? And then you can start upgrading, because like I said, some of those in-game materials are going to be really hard to find. So basically what I would suggest, beat the game, grind in this tower, Get your gear. It only has up to level 49 gear, though. So once you get level 49, you're going to have to start grinding in, I would say, start these Dreamstones. Okay. I started this because I need Orb of Creation. So, well, I guess I won't be able to show you that. What is this? Lunara Exalted. So I'd have to fight that. So maybe, yeah. Anyhow, there's these different Dreamstones you can do. I guess I'll just abort it. Abort. I can find it again. Anyway. Hopefully. Anyhow, so basically once you beat the game, you unlock Dreamstones, and you only start out with a few. So as you go, you beat them, you keep getting more. I don't know if this is the last one, because this is level 60 Macros Exalted boss fight. I'm assuming there might be more, because there's like legendary ones and stuff too. And then you also, on the flip side of that, by doing these, you get these exalted ones. And these are hard. So again, the level thing is kind of confusing, because it says level recommended level 52. So are they going to patch into where you can get higher levels in this game, or is it purely on the exalted or the ascendant part of it, which I'll go over with you as well? So yeah, basically what you're going to do is mix between grinding the tower, the ascended tower, and doing these different Dreamstones. And you're going to need some of these different materials to upgrade your stuff. So once you're to this point, you're going to understand more of what I'm talking about here. But basically, yeah, you're going to, be doing these hunts and fighting these bosses again and getting the gear. And then once you get your gear, once you get what kind of gear you want, so basically here we'll show you this Archon Fury. So this is the last Valor plate you can unlock. I believe it's the end boss. This is what the end Macros looks like. It's his armor. I liked this one because I went, okay, the other shells are builds with like, weak point damage, different kinds of infection damage, breach damage. They have the different kind of statistics with them. I just liked this guy because he's simple. Because after doing like the polarity and the weapon techniques and stuff, I just want simple hack and slash. So I went with straight just brown damage, you know what I mean? Just hack slash damage. So I went critical hits, weak points, and I went with that. So anyways, you can see here he has 5% extra critical hit chance. I probably could have changed it, but it's actually kind of hard to change your Valor plates because you got to re-gear them and do all that different stuff. But anyways, again, here's a look at some of my different detailed stats again as well. So I basically went with a critical hit build. As you can see, I got up to almost 50% critical hit. I had extra 100% critical hit damage and some bonus damage as well. And then also with my weak points and soul shatter. So I went with those abilities. And then the sword I found just happened to have air damage on it. And it ended up working out because I was able to find some items that bonused up the air damage. So now I did find this. So in the game, you can find these primal legendary items, okay, and they're pretty awesome. But this one is upgraded all the way, and it still has the same regular straight DPS as the sword all the way maxed out, but it just looks cooler and it seems like it is better. But actually, the way I have my build, this sword does a ton more damage. So, but it's actually good to have multiple weapons, because sometimes the weapon you're using is ineffective against other people that are resistant towards air. But I was just doing so much critical damage and stuff anyway, it didn't matter. And then here we go. Here is, you know, a look at this amulet I was using right here. As you can see, the 32% air damage. I actually have a different amulet I want to use. Oh no, this is the cool one, because it actually, if you die, it basically reses you, and it gives you a chance to come back right there. So it gives you, because sometimes you take cheap hits and just randomly die, and don't, even if you have healing items or ways to not die, the game is kind of you know, screwed up that way. Again, so you know, I'm stacking critical hit chances in this, so you can upgrade an item 5 times. You can upgrade it to legendary, from green all the way up to legendary. Basic items you can't upgrade. Okay. Well, you can't enchant them, but I don't even think you can upgrade them either. So, unless it's an augment. So basically, look, I'm stacking critical hit chance. I'm stacking. See, right here's an example of, I got everything on there I wanted except for the dual blade damage. I wasn't using dual blade damage, but as you upgrade these, as you enchant them, you can choose which statistic you want to improve, and that's what you're seeing that is like highlighted basically. When I upgraded them, that wasn't the perfect ring, but it ended up working out. I tried, man. I grinded gear forever. I just could not find exactly what I wanted. I'm sure if I kept playing, I could find exactly what I wanted, but I was trying to get the platinum. So basically, I got to a point where I felt strong enough, I felt good enough about my gear, and then I upgraded it all, and that made all the difference once you upgrade everything 5 times, basically. So as you can see here, I've got a good amount of extra air damage, 32%, 27%. My air, you know, my weapon does air damage. Now this is another primal item here. I actually switched that out for my other one just because I like the way those look. My banner wasn't perfect either, but it actually ended up working out pretty good. Critical hit damage, critical hit chance, extra damage. This ring is straight physical damage, weak point, and again, dual blade damage. So it's like, you know, I didn't necessarily need it. I had the polarity damage on that one I didn't need, but I actually changed my augments. But this is gonna, because they were broken. Oh, I almost did it again. So anyhow, this is a look at my augments here. This is a primal one I found. That is pretty awesome. Plus 220%. That thing's gonna wreck. Okay, and then this one, I like this because it gives me the overhealth that doesn't regenerate. But although I don't think this worked, because my overhealth did degenerate, so I don't know what was going on with that. Then I have an empty one here, so basically when it tells you the drain, that's where you're 100 out of 100, so you only get a total of 100 points. I thought drain was like health drain or something cool. It's not. But see, as you can find these ones, they have extra bonuses for slotting certain gems. You know, because this one says for every gem, every might on adjacent gem. So plus 42% just for being next to that other one. Same thing here. You know, plus 1 to all resistances for the green one. So that ends up being pretty awesome. And then you juice these up. So there are so many augments, and you know, I'll show you the armory real quick. I mean, you're gonna look at, and then again in that video I was talking about the one where I'm gonna show you the broken. I have a lot more of this stuff, but this is just a good idea of right here. This is the stuff I've kept. I had pages and pages and pages of stuff. You basically spend more time disenchanting all this stuff and breaking it down than you do actually fighting. Sometimes it seems like. But here's just a quick look at, you know, an idea of some of the different blades you're gonna get. And yeah, you get duplicates, but there is a lot of like different unique weapons here, and then the ones you can make. So I'll show you this real quick too. So this is an example of, this was a drop that I upgraded. This was like a green sword like this one basically, that I was like, okay, it has a stat I like, I'm gonna upgrade it. So I upgraded all the way up to this point. So it actually seemed like it was easier to get the stats you want starting with just a common sword like this, and then upgrading and hoping, crossing your fingers, you get the right statistics. That was one thing I was surprised they didn't have, like, because in like a Diablo game you can actually change the statistics of a weapon, like through a different vendor or whatever. Like you can, you know, oh, I don't want shock, I want chill damage on here or whatever. You can switch those around. They're costly, but you can do it in those games. Okay, here's this one. This is the one that I used. I didn't even upgrade it all the way, but I just liked this one all the way. 1236. So at fully upgraded, oh no, it's only 3 too. So basically the stats are going to be the same, but you're just going to get more effects out of the primal ones. And then again, the rings. So, you know, just an idea of what you're looking at if you're trying to go with a certain build. So there's just so many different builds you can go with, and we'll go over that. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what you're looking at here. Now, this is the one I switched to because it seemed pretty cool. My guy hits weak points. That's a thing. I thought it would be neat to shoot those projectiles. But again, it has greatsword damage, so I'm not really using a greatsword. Yet, anyway. So just a look at some of the different items. You know, you've got Vitality, Spirit, Might. You know, your 3 main stats that you can build with. Just a different look. And then the augments are ridiculous, right? So you've got so many different kinds of augments that you can get. Legendary, common, rare. I do recommend hanging on to some of the common ones because they only take 1. So basically, if you run out of usage power, those are easier to slot in, the 1s and the 3s, because sometimes you might need those to fill a spot. Okay, so just, I mean, there's so many. It's overwhelming how many things there are. Now, there is one thing as well that you can see how these get locked? I think this is glitched in the game, where it locks these into old suits you wear, and even if you change the suit's build, they are still locked, so you can't get rid of them even if you want to. So, I don't know what's going on with that, just a glitch in the game. And then as you can see as well, how it's still showing I have new gear, the notification under armor, you can't get rid of that either. Another broken thing in the game. Okay, so here's what I was talking about. So for one of the trophies, you have to put some points into this to do these weapon techniques. You only need to put the 1 point in, but basically once you build up a meter on your weapon bar, you'll be able to use those weapon techniques, and that's pretty evident. You'll see that. And then the same thing. So I recommend doing these together. Do weapon techniques and polarity attacks. Put your points into here. Because basically what you'll do is you're charging the weapon. Once it gets to a certain point, you'll see a meter on the weapon, and then you switch them, and it does the polarity attack. So that's pretty straightforward. You can do it earlier than you would think, and it actually creates a little bit of problem because it doesn't proc. So it looks like you can do it, and then it doesn't let you do it. So basically, keep an eye on that. Just make sure it's charged, because that can get frustrating. So I do recommend doing that. But basically, the build I went with was Rampage. I stacked all my points in Might. Weapon timing seemed pretty good, but I don't know if I was doing this right, so those might be wasted points. Soul Shatter is good because that's a way to instantly kill people. I went with critical hit damage here. Okay, so for a while I went with the Archeon Fury build as well, but it seems to go away so fast and then build up fast enough to where you don't always need it, but it is a nice one to have if you have extra points. I went with Crit Chance, Vitality. I did a few in the Prime because it was reflecting the damage. That seemed to be very useful there. Even if you're not really doing a shield build, you're going to be parrying a lot. It's just a mechanic in the game you're going to need to know how to do. Resistance seemed good. Eventually did the 5% cap because I believe 50% is the cap for most of the resistances. Initially I didn't do any Spirit, but I think it was hurting me, so I switched around some points, I think, out of Archon Fury and put them into Spirit because that helps with your health regen, your special attack damage. It didn't seem as relevant as I believe that it actually is. You think Might and Vitality are going to be the way to go if you're going to be tank and spank build, but realistically, I think you need that Spirit. Once I put points in there and got did some different stuff with Spirit, it seemed like I did a lot better. I went with weak points. Now this is one of the things for the trophies, so you do need to do at least a point in this till you can get that trophy for the weak points. But I do recommend this because it's actually kind of similar to old school games where, like in Punch-Out, where once you realize you can hit the guy in the, when he throws an uppercut, you can hit him slightly before and get the special star to knock him out or whatever. This game is very similar to that with weak points. Once you find the weak points, especially on bosses and stuff, you can actually stagger them and do a ton of damage on them. So that's actually going to be critical for you in reaching those higher levels, and it's just going to make the game easier for you. So So yeah, think about putting that in there. Recovery is pretty important, but you might not need this one. Like I might have wasted points here because once you get enough spirit, like this might become irrelevant. Takedowns. Now I thought this was a good one. This is also for a trophy as well, so doing a certain amount of takedowns. But even after that fact, I found this to be a useful technique, especially so. Basically, once you get a bigger enemy down to a certain life total, you can then do a takedown, which pretty much instantly kills them. So I found this useful throughout. This is up to this point is useful here, where you get the 10%. Well, first of all, I recommend at least doing one because you want that slide roll. Can't imagine this game without having the evasive slide. It would probably be pretty tough. But then you get the parry window. So you might not need that. I could have probably took that point out of there, but it's nice to have that little bit of extra parry. And then putting another point in there might have been useful. The quick turn for hitting like archers and stuff behind you that are dinging you with damage. That might be kind of cool. I didn't try that out. So that might have been worthy to put another point in there. And then, of course, all stats. That's just like one of the first ones I started pumping points into. I didn't mess around with Breach because I didn't really understand it. But basically the way it works is you attack the enemy and you'll see basically a secondary bar under their life start to build up. And eventually once you fill that bar up, you can then do basically like a takedown on them. That one didn't really seem to be that great for me because basically I was killing enemies so fast that didn't matter. Or they were so tough that you have to hit them a bunch of times anyway before you got that. But that might have been something to look into to maybe be a little bit stronger than I was. And then I tried the siphon thing, and it just seemed so hard to do, and it never really worked. So I don't know. It seemed kind of that. And then I tried the Sundering Slam and some of these different ones with the shields and the banners and stuff. I didn't really invest too many points into those. So that was a whole other build you could have done. But basically, I was just trying to get the platinum as quickly as I could. And what you're seeing here is the build I used to do it. Now, once you beat the game, you get this thing. You get Ascension level. So basically, you start over at level 1 in the end game, and you have to work your way up with all these different powers as you unlock them. Eventually, every 25 levels here, you can choose one of these stats here, and it goes on and on and on. So this goes on to like level 300 or something, so I won't kill you with that. But then the same thing with the bonuses. So you can pick and choose your way here. I maybe should have put some in loot bonus. I didn't realize how much I was going to need that Electurium. It ended up running dry quick. So this goes on for a long time too. So just to give you an idea of what you're looking at, you can pump your basic stats and then some of the other stuff. So based on what you're doing, I don't know if you can refund these points though. Whereas these you can change anytime. I didn't see a way to refund these points. So choose these wisely. But the thing is you can't wait. So basically you have to have a certain amount of points in each field to unlock the next field. So you're going to have to choose at some point. It's not like you can go back and put points, take these points away and go put them in here. So do choose wisely there. Now I did show you some of the resources. We went over that. This ended up being more scarce than I thought it was going to be. Same with the orbs. Those you're going to have to farm those if you want to upgrade your equipment. And I'll show you that real quick. So you can start a party. I did never try that. And then you got, we went over this, the codex. There's a ton of information here. If you're kind of being confused about the game, this might help you a little bit here. There's so much to look at though. And then here's your merits. So basically a lot of these are linked to trophies. So you can kind of gauge how far you are in your trophy by looking at these. Not all of them, but basically, so these are some of the different enemies. The Varghul, the Valorian Knights. So the trophy aren't for as many as these. The Crimson Wind, the Abyssian, it's for like 200, I think. But the full max out on these is 400 or whatever the number tells you. So most of these, I have not poisoned enough enemies here. I didn't use poison that much, but a lot of these I pretty much maxed out. Oh yeah, I found a treasure hermit, kind of like in Diablo, the treasure troll guy that runs, or the goblin. He's similar to that. He runs away and shoots treasure as he runs away. But throughout the game, I pretty much ended up maxing out most of these stats. Okay, so let's go show you what it would be to upgrade. This is the vendor. Basically, if he has items you don't like, go do a mission, like a hunt mission, and complete it, and he'll change his items. Other than that, he won't change them at all. So basically, if you're just doing the tower, he will never change these items. And like I said, a lot of time you can look here, you can be like, man, I really need some more weak point, and I want a might ring. You might just start here, buy this ring, and then go over here and then upgrade the ring. And it's pretty simple. So it'll tell you if you want to enchant it, that's what it's going to cost to enchant it. That's what it's going to cost to upgrade it right here. So it'll show you what it'll do. We're not going to upgrade that now, but you could get an idea here, and then eventually, like I said, you can upgrade that each item 5 times, and you can enchant them to legendary level. So yeah, just an idea of what you're looking at here doing that upgrade. If there was one I could upgrade, I'd show you, but I think I need something here. So let's see, upgrade. Oh, I could do it. So basically, once you get it to the third upgrade spot where I have it now is when you get to choose to buff a stat, and you get that again once you get to the 5th portion. So the middle enchantment and then the last enchantment you get there are allow you to pick a different stat, and the 5th one, the masterwork trait it's called, actually allows you to oftentimes pick a completely different one or upgrade one of your existing ones. So basically you would do that. You could upgrade it. That is a ton more health right there for that thing. So that's a worthwhile upgrade for you there. But yeah, I mean, that's basically a look at Godfall, what it's going to take for you to platinum this game. It is a great game. It's a fun game. It takes combat to a whole new level. Just the breadth, the width, the amount of things you can have. At one point, I mean, I had so many items in here. Like I said, I think I crashed the game. So the fact that there's just so much going on here, the ability to customize your skills and do all these different things. And then on top of that, you have all this with the ascension ranks. You've got so much here. We didn't really go over it. You've got within here, you've got all these different branching augments that you can do. I mean, the customization and customizability on this game is almost, it's almost unheard of. It's unparalleled. So in that sense, this game is an incredible feat, accomplishment. Gearbox, I can't remember. Those guys that did Borderland back when or something. I don't know. I've heard of them before, but anyway, if this is their first entry into the thing here in the PlayStation 5 era, they've got a couple games. They got Tribes of Midgard that's coming out that looks awesome. I feel like they had a hand in Immortal Phoenix Rising as well, because this game felt very similar to that. Although Immortal Phoenix Rising is a lot like the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, in a lot of ways it feels very similar to a game like that, or even a Zelda 64. But I did have some similarities in that. But there's just so much you can do within this game. It's almost mind-blowing to think that way. And then the levels, once you get into levels and stuff, there's just so much going on. But yeah, right here is where you're going to have your most difficult challenge, and that is to reach level 10 and level 20 of the Ascended Tower Trials. Now, I don't know, I was going to do a video maybe of starting at level 1 and reaching level 20 just to show you what that might entail for you. So look forward to that. If I can muster the time and strength to do that, I'm going to give that a try. But also I'm going to be doing that video where I show you how I broke the game as well. So maybe we could break the game again when we go do the Ascended Tower run again. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Put them in the comments. Let me know what you thought about Godfall. This is a really cool game. If you're looking for a fun game to play and a game that you can get a platinum on with enough work and enough skill, this is definitely a game you should try and that I would recommend to you. Either way, even if you don't want to platinum the game, it's a cool game. If you like hack and slash, if you just like mindless button mashing, you could probably get away with that on the lower levels. And then there's also different difficulties you can select as well. So basically you can do, if you're having a hard time, or if it's too easy, you could go set it to hard. You could, set it to easy. You could set it to normal, the default Godfall experience. So I believe with enough grinding in this game, if you got up your ascension rank to level 300 or whatever level you can take it to, you could probably balance out not being the best skilled player at this game with having a high enough stats to go into that Ascended Tower and get to level 20 pretty easily. And if not, you could recruit some friends, start a party. You can have up to 2 other players join you to help you out. I don't know if that makes the game harder, like if it adds more mobs, makes them stronger, anything like that. I have no clue, but if it doesn't, if it keeps the game the same, that should make it another a little bit easier for you to get through that tower. Other than that, you should be able to, get through the game pretty easily and have a good time doing it. So thanks for hanging out, guys. You've been here with Brothers Forge Gaming on YouTube. Make sure to check out all of our Platinum Trophy guides. We got about 40 of these things now. Check them out. They're on our page here. If you want to look not only for games that you can platinum, but games that you can, have a good time playing as well. Some of them better than others. Some platinums are a beast to get. This one was tough, but it was worth it. It was a fun game. So that's what you're looking for when you're doing a platinum run. You don't want a game that you hate playing and that upsets you to play. just so you can get the platinum. You know, we've done a few of those, but ultimately that's not what you're looking for when you're trying to get these platinum. So this is one at 1.2%. This is a platinum you can be proud of, and a game you can have fun playing. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll see you next time.